So I was asked to give my opinion as to why Painkiller is the best introductory album to Judas Priest. If you are a new listener to Judas Priest, the Painkiller album is probably the best one to start out with. Some of the information that I'm going to give here is actually coming straight off of Wikipedia. It's stuff that you can find on the internet, but it's also going to include some of my opinion. Painkiller was the first album released with Scott Travis as the drummer, and he replaced Dave Holland in 1989. Painkiller came out in 1990. I believe that that era was a peak, maybe not the peak, but it was definitely a high point for this type of music. In the 1980s, with metal, we saw a lot of the satanic panic, where all like politicians and church leaders and prominent community leaders and whatnot thought that everything was the devil. And as a matter of fact, Judas Priest was actually coming right out of lawsuits blaming them for subliminal messaging because of a kid that committed suicide. Into some details about the album: it was certified gold in January of 1991, and a remastered CD was released in May of 2001, including a live recording of Leather Rebel and a previously unreleased song, Living Bad Dreams. The album received a Grammy nomination for Best Metal Performance and at the 33rd Annual Grammy Awards, losing to Metallica's cover of the Queen song Stone Cold Crazy. So you're talking about a band that's just, I mean, they're at the top of their game at this point in their careers. Steve Huey of AllMusic actually praised the album, saying it was one of Judas Priest's best albums in years, adding that Travis's thunderous and crisp sounding percussive maelstrom lights an immediate fire under the band members' asses. Sputnik Music gave this album a 5 out of 5, stating that Painkiller is full of many memorable riffs and leads from Glenn and KK. Among the finest moments of the album come from the immense riffing combined with Halford's wailing vocals. Rob Halford is an amazing vocalist. He has a crazy vocal range and just emits such a power behind his vocals. All of the songs on Painkiller are very, very energetic. It's very, I don't want to call it necessarily power metal, but it combines several different types of metal, but everything is energetic from beginning to end. I mean, it's an album that that you can listen to from beginning to end, every song, and not get bored along the way. Another reason that I think Painkiller is a good introduction to Judas Priest, some of you may not know, but like if you're just getting into Judas Priest, Rob Halford actually left the band for several years. He left in 1992, and this was his last album with Judas Priest for many years. Rob Halford's reasoning for leaving the band was just tensions within the band, and he wanted to kind of do his own thing. He worked on his own project called Fight. After Rob Halford's departure, the band was dormant for several years until 1996, when they recruited Tim the Ripper Owens as vocalist for 2 studio albums, Jugulator and Demolition. So if you want to get into Judas Priest, I would suggest getting a copy of it or listening to it online. You can actually stream the entire album on YouTube, but listen to the Painkiller album. It's great beginning to end. The production is awesome, and I mean, it's a good introduction to the band. I think it's, like I said earlier, it's at a high point for that type of music, and I think that it is a peak for Judas Priest as a band as well. And you probably won't be disappointed, because if you're exploring bands like this, then you're probably gonna love everything about this album. You're gonna, the drums, the guitar. I mean, the riffs are amazing in it. And then just branch out from there and explore some of the other stuff that they've done. You can go backwards through their catalog. You can check out KK's Priest, KK Downing's project with other members of Judas Priest. You can check out other projects that Tim the Ripper Owens has been involved in, and also Rob Halford's solo project. It's just called Halford. But there's a whole cornucopia of music that can come from checking out the Painkiller album.